welcome to the Super Ultra Mega Force podcast. I'm your host, Wyatt.
I'm Bill.
And today we're going to try to do a new thing where we're going to, once again, kind of stay off topic and really kind of just talk about whatever we want to. And maybe we'll eventually find our pathway around things. So, what do you want to talk about, man? What have you been playing or watching? What have you been consuming this week?
I got back and lost because I was like a quarter of the way into season 3.
Yeah,
I'm finally getting that train back on the rails.
So, do you feel like you've kind of managed to forget a lot about what the series is about? I know a lot. Lost was such a big thing in, I would say maybe the
came out and it started
maybe the mid 2000s.
Yeah, it came out. I think it started in 2004 or 5, and it ended in 2010 or 2011.
Yeah, and there's so many people have, it became such almost a water cooler talk about, that everyone would discuss all the time, so many people know about everything that goes on in it.
It was a pretty big deal when it came out. It was like the most expensive pilot ever made. I think they got it was a couple, I want to say it may have been like 20 to something $1 million to the pilot, which, like, for comparison, I think the Walking Dead season 1 pilot was like $3 million, something like that.
Man,
I'm sure the numbers are wrong, but it was like around that kind of like distance, like as far like it was like a big jump from one to the other.
Would you think that like maybe this series was kind of the very first series to really break through into this almost into this quality of television shows that kind of are on par with movies?
It certainly helped it. Yeah. There was around the time there wasn't. There's always been like serialized like dramas and stuff like that, but there wasn't really like a show like that on television at the time. I mean, it was like 45 minutes long for out on ABC of all channels, and like just it was a big deal. I remember it being a pretty big deal when I was younger, and I'm kind of glad I didn't watch it from week to week. I don't think I could have done it.
So, who's your favorite character on that series at this point?
Well, the show centers on one character an episode. Mm-hmm. I guess you could say that they're. It's kind of hard to say these are the main characters because everybody gets. There's some. I mean, obviously there are some characters who get more screen time than others, but they all get their moments, But I guess you could say the three mains that people always think about are going to be Jack, Kate, and Sawyer. And I was really big in the Jack, Kate, Sawyer's. Mainly, I think Locke episodes are probably my favorite. Because there's that one big reveal in season 1, which if I had watched it, because I think his episode is the third episode, I think that we see.
You're talking about Sawyer's?
Locke's, okay. Because, man.
Yeah, I have seen the Locke episode, and that one was really cool.
Because you get kind of an idea, like, I mean, even so, in the first 2 episodes, there are some weird things that go on that make you think, like, because I'm sure anybody who tuned into that probably thought it was going to be just like a, ship, marooned on an island type thing. Mm-hmm. And then you get bits and pieces of, in the first 2 episodes, you're like, something's obviously not right, or something really weird going on. And that episode's when you kind of get an idea of what this is what you're kind of gonna be in for the rest of the series. But right now in season 3, I'm getting a lot more. Like, it's season 3 started. I mean, it was interesting, of course, but it's really started to pick up steam like a lot, and I'm really happy about that because it wasn't like it was getting slow, but I was kind of going, all right, let's get on with the next thing. Let's see what's going on. But it's I'm really liking it so far. I know a lot of people especially they are unhappy when they talk about it. I've heard some people talk about Lost, say they love it, and some people say they hate it just because of how it ends. And I did read it at one point, but that was years ago, and I don't remember really what I read, so thankfully.
So that's approval?
As of right now, yeah. I think it's worth the look.
That's a Bill level approval confirmed.
And it's great.
Yeah. So quick question. Are they on the island or off the island at this point?
They're still on the island. there is this. I know there's a season where they're off the island, and there's of course that was the big tagline for the season, like we have to go back to the island type of deal. I'm not there yet, but I think watch out for that. I know. I think I'm getting close to that. I think that's the next season. I think maybe either that or season 5. I don't remember.
Yeah, I know that's pretty far down there.
Mm-hmm. But it's gonna be getting a little easier because 4, 5, and 6 seasons are shorter than the other 3. So I'll probably blaze through those pretty quickly.
Do you feel like now this is kind of just for TV shows in general? Do you feel like when like characters have when actors who will play characters in stories like they have kind of a bad rap? Do you feel like that kind of affects the way you think of that story, kind of pertaining to the negativity that people have towards the main protagonist, Jack?
Well, in the sense of like how people perceive certain characters, like for instance, like on How I Met Your Mother, people hate Ted just because he's kind of like a downer character or like an annoying character.
I think Ted's cool.
Yeah, it's something like I don't try to let the public persona of how people view certain characters like kind of color how I see them.
Are we saying like Ted's like a jerk in real life?
No, that's what I'm saying. Like as opposed to the character to the guy who plays them, because I've heard like for instance, I know you're probably asked like because with Jack and Lost, I've heard in real life the guy who plays them's not too favorable for people. I try not to let that color it either because it's not that I'm not watching him, I'm watching the character.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I feel like that too. You know, that's the whole purpose of an actor is to try to convince you they're not. I don't know what that guy's name is.
Matthew Fox.
That's not Matthew Fox. That's Jack.
Yeah, and sometimes it's harder in some other instances, but I was able to kind of not think about it when I was watching the show.
Yeah,
and I mean he's an alright character. I hear he gets kind of annoying, not annoying, but people usually like other people on the show. Like people, like the general consensus that everybody really likes Kate Sawyer. I think probably if I had to say one character, it's probably John Locke. Probably, I'm just shooting in the dark. That's probably because every time I go to Reddit, people always talk about Locke and Hurley and other characters. But it's I kind of wish Walking Dead would kind of follow their thing, like kind of focus on one character, or have a supporting group, or have it be how that, because they seem like they handle a big cast of characters a lot more than that show does. Because I mean, I've spent 3 seasons and I already have a good idea of who everybody is on that show and what they're doing. And on Walking Dead, at least in the earlier seasons, you were kind of just like, why is this person here? And do they even have a line this episode? I mean, or not like such a line this episode, or like, are they just there to be there and we never really learn who they are? But
I guess that would kind of be a way to make people feel like they're not cannon fodder,
Yeah.
Because like, so say that every episode of Walking Dead had like followed a different character. You're like, is this character important? Is this character, like, when you don't see that character that much in the episode, is that character not showing up in the episode at this point because he's going to be cannon fodder for the future and going to get killed off in some shocking way? Or is there going to be an episode that centers around him in the future and then is going to, show his importance?
And that's the thing, and that's what you're talking about, like there.
Yeah.
Is like that's a telling thing in Walking Dead, is that it's actually kind of a joke when people, if some character you don't see very often gets any type of character moment, it usually indicates they're going to die that same episode. I won't go into spoilers for Walking Dead, but there's been numerous times where a character that they obviously have a name, they've talked in the show before, but if they talk about themselves or they have a moment where the camera kind of, or like the story kind of goes to them for a second, it usually indicates they're going to die that same episode.
No.
Where in Lost, like, I can only think of, there's not too many character deaths that happen in Lost, but I mean, they're well in advance. So like when the person actually dies, you're like, holy shit, like, wow, that sucks, because they're just so built up from season 1 and 2 and all that.
I don't think I've ever caught that before on Walking Dead.
I could give you a few examples, but I don't want to do it in case somebody hasn't watched Walking Dead, which it's like Game of Thrones at this point. If there's everybody watches those shows, so
yeah. But I mean, what about the first season? Do you have any ideas on those? We can give a pause for a minute for anyone who is listening to this. We're gonna try to spoil season 1, at least in some small details. It may not even really bother anyone, but who knows?
It's not so much in season 1. If there was any type of moment where I could kind of see that happening, I think if the same episode where Andrea's sister dies, they have a lot more interaction with each other that season, and there's a lot of stuff that for her in the beginning of that episode. But that's kind of like an unfair thing because the show. I mean, they did kind of some stuff with her before that. The one that sticks out in my mind the most was, I think it was season 3. So once again, pause there for a second. But it was like Axel's character. There's a moment where he has like a thing with Carol. He talks about himself, and then like almost in the exact same time frame gets shot and killed, and that's it. And
Axel was such a weird character because it's like, you feel like everyone there's going to turn out to be some crazy person. So when he made it feel like at first you kind of felt uncomfortable with him because he was kind of like, I think he was just talking, he was being around the children or some point, or he was talking to little kids, and people were like, whoa, get away from them, like, I don't want you to turn out to be some, like, pedophile or something like that. And then it just turned out he was actually a pretty decent guy and just got killed, so kind of made you feel shitty for, like, feeling that overprotectiveness in some way, or that over, like, interrogativeness kind of thing. Trying to remember. So on the idea of spoilers, here's one thing that I feel is sometimes it's not necessary to have a spoiler kind of warning thing. So looking at promotions now that always get, shoved in your face and things, there are always times where you see they pretty much just throw spoilers in your face at some points with promotions, like with another season or something like that. Like, for example, Sons of Anarchy. Sons of Anarchy is a show I really liked, and I think it was the 3rd or 4th season. They have just on the promotional covers on Best Buy or any place you buy this, the front cover of it is "Rest in peace, this character that died." Like, it's just like sometimes it's inevitable these days with certain spoilers that if you're not caught up, then there's no way to get around it. So I feel like sometimes with the very like 2 or 3 seasons ago, I don't feel like it's that big of a deal because it's like you can look at the box art at this point and go, oh, this character is missing. It's like, what? I wonder if they went maybe they're the character that went, oh, I'm going to go to my distant planet, to go help fight a war or whatever, and then they fly up or something. That's a reference to the Simpsons episode.
Oh yeah, what was it? The dog. It was the dog.
Wolfie, I think.
Wolfie or something like Poochie.
Poochie, yeah.
And he's like, and it's like badly like chopped into the episode that he leaves and he dies on the way to his planet.
It's all because Homer is trying to do something noble for once, and then try to educate kids instead of being this puppet of the company or something. From what I remember. Simpsons is so awesome.
Early Simpsons. I don't watch it anymore, but I'll be sad when they take it off the air because it's just like, we grew up with the Simpsons.
I did get to watch one episode recently, and Willem Dafoe was the guest host on it, and he played I think it was their new Bart's new teacher, and Willem Dafoe is this scary, over intimidating guy. There's a part where the principal Skinner is in there, and he goes, he's just going over the backlog of his previous schools and everything, and then he mentioned something, and he goes, and then Willem Dafoe's character goes, I remember when I got that, I remember when I was at that school, that's when I got a scar there. He's like, what scar? And then he just takes a razor and just starts cutting down his face, and then just Skinner is the most uncomfortable there. It's like, just go.
That's awesome.
And then, so, every part of that episode, Bart is trying to break down this new teacher, and he just cannot because that guy is the most scary, teacher. And he, I think at some point, picks up Bart and just slams a pencil into his shirt to hang him, on the thing. He's hanging by his shirt, and he's just having to, in the, sit there in class like that. The only way, in the end, he tries to break him down is he finds out his teacher's going to Burning Man, and so he somehow convinces his family that they're going to go on vacation to Burning Man, and he's supposed to be the guy that lights up the Burning Man thing, and he's like, oh, if I extinguish the flame before he can light the Burning Man thing, then he'll be, humiliated by all his people. So,
damn, Bart's an asshole.
Yeah. And then before that was the Futurama Simpsons crossover one, so that was pretty cool.
I forgot they did that. I didn't even watch it.
I really liked the interaction between Bender and Homer. It was pretty cool.
I'll have to look that up once we're done.
Definitely.
Because I can imagine that being interesting enough just to see.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Spoiler can turn around, though, is pretty short these days.
Yeah, I would say so.
Because, if you haven't... Because it used to be a lot easier when we didn't have the internet,
mm-hmm.
where you couldn't just open up social media and see someone post something, or there wasn't Twitter, or there wasn't, all this stuff. So now it's you kind of have to live in a bubble if you and watch things the day they come out and put yourself, in a media blackout, which is unfortunate that you have to do that. But
yeah.
That's just kind of you're walking in a minefield at all times.
Yeah.
If you're trying to stay up to date on the latest television shows and movies and video games, things like that.
I want to say the biggest spoiler that got released that everyone was really mad about in not too distant future, or not too distant past, was just there was a Walking Dead spoiler where someone died in that last episode of that show, and then they posted it everywhere, like Walking Dead posted it everywhere, which is really weird. It was just a picture of the person with the other person holding them in their arms as they were it's rest in peace so and so.
I don't understand what they're trying to do there, because that's I don't know. It's with Walking Dead, I guess, and I guess maybe they want to try to shit. I don't know. It's funny that because did you hear about what happened? Speaking of that, in Post and Ship and Horror, did you hear what happened to the Sons of Anarchy book or whatever that got released early?
No, what?
The guy, I think his name is it Kurt Sutter?
Yeah,
Sutter. Okay. He had a compendium book that was supposed to come out after the series ended, and it was supposed to come out I think a couple days after the.
I haven't finished the last season.
I'm not going to spoil what happens, but yeah, I spoil it for you. Yeah, irony. Talking about spoilers, I spoiled for you. There was a book that was supposed to be released I think it was a week or two after the finale aired, the series finale,
mm-hmm.
but some people got it before the series ended.
Oh.
And it had everything. It had what was going to happen. But it wasn't a couple months before. It was a week before, I think, or a couple days before the actual episode aired. And
yeah, I think there was at least a companion magazine that I picked up at Walmart a few weeks before I'd caught the second to last season, mm-hmm. and then it kind of revealed someone's death in there. I was like, crap. It's and I think that would to me, spoilers are a way of not really affecting me in the ways of, well, now I don't want to watch that show anymore. It's more of when I found out this person was going to die in the series, the entire season just made me super tense about what was going to happen.
Yeah. Because
I found out that this person was going to die, but I didn't know how they were going to die. So every time they were in the room with people, it was just it was very nerve-wracking. And
that's going to go into what I've always thought about, or what when it comes to spoilers, spoilers can, of course, spoiling what's going to happen, but I've heard some people spoil things for each other, but don't spoil everything. Some people will say this person dies, but they won't say what season. They won't say how it is. Mm-hmm. So people will watch that show and be you can be super tense the whole time. Is that person going to die this episode or this episode?
Yeah.
But it also still sucks because you're expecting it. At one point it's going to happen. For the most part, I don't care too much, but there are a few things where I just I remember when I was playing The Last of Us for the first time. I got it when it first came out, and when I started playing it, I actively avoided Reddit and gaming stuff to actually experience it, because I knew I was going to blow through it, because I really, really liked it, and I was very happy to avoid spoilers the entire game, especially for Bioshock Infinite. That would have really sucked if I had known I was getting into or what
Yeah.
happened. Like there are a few things it's one thing to go into something and expect things to happen or something like that, but it's one thing to go into something and have it just take you somewhere. Like if the game just blows you away expectation wise, like on the trajectory where it's going, then it's a lot more satisfying not knowing that it's going to happen.
I'm gonna say when it comes to video games, games that I think, like, if they're a game that has a big spoiler hinged on it, I feel like it has to be a short game, because if it's a really long game that's going to take a century to complete, I feel like I don't, like, you can't protect yourself from that long from, like, trying to, play it. Like, Dragon Age, I give up on kind of keeping the idea of that ending's going to be a secret to me, because with that game, it's just so huge, and there's so many side quests that are going to throw you off that you're going to forget a lot about what the main purpose of what you're doing in that game is. And at that point, when you finally get to the ending in that game, when I finally get to the ending in that game, I'm just going to get up to it and I'm going to go, I completely forgot about that. I don't even remember that, like, what like, they're going to be like, so and so did this, and I was like, it's been like 3 or 4 months since I've got to that point, so I don't even remember. That's the great thing about Bioshock was it was not only did it have this crazy ending, but it also was quick enough for you to complete in a couple days. So it's like, I would say this to me would be like the blockbuster rental kind of game where you'd rent it for 3 or 4 days. You could run through it and then have the ending to talk about right then and there. Unlike games where, like, nowadays you just buy them and it can sit on your shelf, until you get it, until you finish all your other games.
Here's something we can talk about here, and this is going to be unpopular opinion time.
All right, whatever.
But what did you think of Burial at Sea?
I didn't really like it too much. Just the ending part where I think it hinged too much on Bioshock, the original Bioshock, kind of being there for her to, like, spoilers, end up dying for Jack, because Jack's going to be the guy that usurps Atlas. I didn't like that at all.
To me, it was like, for one thing, I don't get me wrong, I liked the first Bioshock. I thought it was a really good game. Mm-hmm. I played it many, many times. The Would You Kindly thing, it didn't hit me like other people did. Like, I can remember my reaction was, I was playing through it, I thought I was getting near the end of the game, because you think that where you're going is the end. And I was like, man, I hope this. I was kind of disappointed because I was like, it's been a while since I got here, but I hope this game is not ending yet. And then when I saw that, I was just like, that's cool, I guess. That was a little neat way of gameplay wise of getting me to do stuff. But that was pretty much the extent of my reaction. I know I'm in the minority on that. A lot of people were.
It was okay. It was a cool, like, oh, that's neat, but it wasn't like it didn't blow my mind.
Yeah, like, and if it did for some people, that's awesome, because people, gaming is very subjective with how people take it. So if they were, that's awesome. I'm not diminishing the what those people felt or anything like that. It just never did anything for me. So, like, whenever the big thing for Burial at Sea was like, oh, what does this code mean? And it ended up being that, I was like, are we really doing this again? Like, are we really gonna take Elizabeth as a character and all the cool shit and all the like how she was built up so much over Infinite and just reduce her to being just the catalyst for the events of 1 and just that's it?
I didn't like that at all. To me, almost, it kind of irritates me that so many people, wanted it to tie into the original Bioshock so much that, like, I feel like that may have been just them trying to give it to us, and then, like, everyone told us beforehand that this is its own standalone thing. This is its own universe. Its name is Bioshock in name alone. It has nothing that will tie it to, Bioshock 1. The ideas in that game, which were really cool, that did kind of, subtly hint to you that it tied into 1, were cool, but I never wanted it to go anywhere beyond that.
Like, I thought what they did at the end of the actual Infinite game was enough. Yeah. That was really cool. We got to see it for a second, and that's it. Let's move on. Mm-hmm. somebody brought up something. Somebody on Reddit brought it up that said if they really, really wanted to blow me away with DLC or what they could have done with it, he should have gone back to like System Shock.
Oh, that would be cool.
Like to bring it even farther back, to kind of go past your expectation. Like somebody saying like her opening up a tear to to a space station and it being that whole thing. Mm-hmm. That would have been like, well, okay. Before I go on to that, part 1 of Burial at Sea, I think is cool. I think it's if you're gonna do because I think hasn't he said that's canon? Like that's what actually happens.
What do you mean?
Like Ken Levine, like the stuff that happens in Burial at Sea actually happened, or is it just a what if?
I don't know. Like it, I think with Ken Levine, I think some of that DLC stuff he was just kind of pushing out to just go through Bioshock because I think that he promised more than he really was going to plan, and so at that point he was just like, I'm just going to do whatever, and then he was just doing that just to move on to his next project.
Yeah, I just like the first part was cool. I mean, it had enough with it, but once I saw what they were doing in part 2, I feel like it was bringing too much and winking too much at the audience, and
yeah, definitely.
I was just like, yeah, I mean, it's cool we get some more backstory on all this, but did we really want it in the first place? Like, I would have... There's, like, when you have a character who can pull things out of reality and go into infinite universes type of deal, this is what they want to do with it. I mean, it's kind of like... man, I'm at a loss of even a good analogy for this.
I kind of think, like, that they gave us this doorway to everything... And then just, like, closed it right in front of us when they went, yeah, you know, we're gonna, like, because, I mean, they made it like that's the Elizabeth from, or or do they somehow say that it might not be the Elizabeth from the original Bioshock, or is it?
I think it's supposed to be her from the game. At least that's what I was getting from it. Here's something, a way of kind of putting it. You saying that kind of sparked it. We have a hallway of infinite doors, and each one we can see every possible outcome. Yet we want to open the doors of stuff we've already seen before. We don't care about stuff we haven't seen before. Yeah. Or you have all this potential when you want to use it on something that already exists. You don't want to maybe make something new. And I'm not saying that every game or everything should be just something new and fuck what came before it. I think it's nice if we can build on things that we had before, sequels. I mean, I'm all for that and all that stuff. But it just would have been kind of cool to kind of build off of that into something more interesting than stuff we've already seen. Yeah.
I hope that whoever takes over for their studio, whoever takes over the Bioshock IP, can do something to bring it back to this, to its prosperity that it was at. I think at when Infinite first came out. Yeah. I want to get hyped about it, and hopefully it won't take years to make. I think maybe that's why we haven't heard anything about it at this point. Is because maybe they're building on it now.
Yeah, it's too early at this point to really. I mean,
that last one, I think Bioshock Infinite took maybe 4 years.
It was a good while. Bioshock 2 came out in 2000.
I think it was 10.
It was the same year Mass Effect 2 came out. It was the same month. And Mass Effect 2 came out in 2000. I think you're right, 2010. Yeah, it was 2010. Oh, no, wait, no. It was 2009.
Was it?
It was 2009, I believe. Because in 2010, Halo Reach came out. And that was the year before, I believe.
We need a computer to fact check this stuff.
Eventually, we'll bring a laptop in here so we can stop sounding like idiots if we're wrong.
Oh, okay. It'll piss people off.
Yeah, whatever.
Awesome. Yeah, whatever.
Get your own podcast.
Yeah. Oh, this is 2010. You got 2010 of August. You got your back straight.
Hey, man. When you get older, you start misremembering things.
Hey, man, get your damn hands off her.
So you said you only for more topical stuff, I guess we could talk about. So you've only read the IGN review for The Order?
Yep. Okay. Yeah. I mean, I think it was a 5.7 or something. It was like a 6.5, somewhere around there. It was mediocre is what they put it, I would say.
Yeah, I think
most of the reviews I saw were pretty much we're at 5s. I think Gym Inquisition gave like a 6.6 or something like that. Kind of weird. I never really like, just whatever. Game Informer gave it a 7.7. I think Kotaku doesn't do is the one that doesn't do.
Yeah, they don't. I like how they do it, and I kind of hope that people adopt it, just because commenters and just fans seem very vile when it comes to like ratings, and that kind of messes up that whole idea, because it's all they're saying is, do we recommend it, yes or no, and this is the reasons why we recommend it.
I mean, review scores are nice, but there's people who will hate the review no matter what, because it wasn't the review they wanted for it.
It's always going to be like that.
And there's going to be the people who can't understand that the scale isn't from 1 to 7, it's shit, and from 7 to 10, it's okay.
Yeah.
Like, it's like that one joke that goes around, like that it's mainly poking fun at IGN. IGN's gotten kind of better about it, but it's just like 10 out of 10, it's okay. Just like, it's just, that's not the scale it's supposed to be at. Like, 5 is supposed to be average.
I mean, you're telling me this that we go like 7's okay, 8's better, and like 8's decent, and then like 9 and 10 are like where it's supposed to be at. This is like the grading scale in high school and
that's
middle
how people
school
are approaching it.
It's like, so it's like you get a 70, and your parents are gonna be like, no, you could have done better. You should be better than this. You're better than this. And then, like, same thing with 80. Oh, you need it. You should have had an A.
It's that's pretty much how it is. I never really thought of it like that. It's like 70 to 7 to 10 is really 1 to 10 for how people are viewing, and it really fucks with the review scale, because people are too dumb to realize that.
Have you heard that Metacritic, that like some places, some video game developers, their bonuses are tied to Metacritic?
Yeah.
Isn't that some ridiculous?
Fallout New Vegas's was I think they needed to get like a 70 or above to get like a bonus, and they
missed that, didn't they?
They had a 69.
Damn.
And what's really crappy about that?
What?
Is and this is going back to why, like, anybody talks about Obsidian and they want to talk about, like, just talk major amounts of shit, I always kind of have to, like, grit my teeth and kind of, like, just kind of rein myself in. Because it's like, Knights of the Old Republic 2, this game needs to be done in 6 months by Christmas. Are you serious? When it take this long? No, get it done by then, and then we can ship it out. Fallout New Vegas, they had that map was supposed to be at least half the size larger than it was. But Bethesda was like, we need it out by this time.
Wonder why, like, Obsidian always gets the short end of that stuff, because I feel like Obsidian is always the ones that have the incomplete kind of games. Like, I don't think BioWare, when they were producing the original Knights of the Republic, were we hearing a lot of stuff this is what we could have done, but this is the amount of time we were given.
Yeah, I mean, and like if you want a case in point of a game where they had as much time as they wanted to do to make it, South Park: Stick of Truth.
Yeah.
And that there was like 0 bugs or glitches in that game, and it was like a lot of people really liked it.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
some people even said it was like Game of the Year.
Yeah, some people. Yeah, I was like, wow, really? I mean, I like South Park. I like the game, but I probably would have liked it more if I was a bigger South Park fan. But like everything else was, I mean, it was great. It's just like it's just one of those things. Apparently, the same thing happened with Alpha Protocol with Sega, where they wanted to do more for it and like polish it a little bit more, but they wanted it out then so they get some money back. It's just like, I don't know, man. It really sucks.
I really don't know where Sega's going these days, because I don't think Okay, so they have one franchise that's probably keeping them afloat now, because they bought Atlas, or the Persona series, but I can't think of anything that they make right now that isn't like a 5 or a 4, like anything that's just not the worst.
Yeah. I mean, I know Sonic Boom is like I remember reading a report recently that was the worst selling Sonic game.
Yeah.
Well,
I mean, they don't even look like the way the characters are there. That was already an extreme. They were already taking a big risk, but then they also, had a very unfinished and buggy game. Well, I don't know if it's unfinished, but I know it was. There's problems.
There's been some talks about it. I don't know enough about it really to comment it, so I don't want to like throw fire where there's already
where there's already, you know, a fire.
Yeah. My logic on that stuff is just, it's like, oh, if this game was crappy, it's because it was unfinished. It just wasn't fixed right. It just need a little more time. That's all.
Yeah, I mean, there are some games where I mean, it's like what you hear that it's that quote by Shigeru Miyamoto. It's like a delayed game could, you know. Well, hang on, like how'd it go? I'm fucking this all up. Might as well just get out of here.
We'll fix it in post.
Oh yeah, fix it. Like a delayed game, like as promised, but but a bad game is bad forever. Like there's nothing you can do about it. It's like, you know, like a delayed game has they do it for a reason to like fix shit. It's funny like how whenever like a game comes out and it's buggy and unfinished, people will bitch and moan and say like you should have had more time and then right back, like, you know, a developer will say we're delaying the game for X amount of months and they'll be like, get your shit together, get your game out so we can fucking play it. It's like, it's ridiculous, dude. The gaming community sucks a dick.
It does. It does. I think there are some people that will fight back nowadays when a game is delayed. It's like, yeah, just delay a little bit longer so you can, you know, make the game better and everything, you know. I think that might have been the consensus for The Order, maybe. Or Batman. You know, that Batman was one of the ones recently that had a big delay, you know. It's
like, I don't know. I wish developers weren't so reined in. Sometimes being reined in is good creative wise, but like I wish they wouldn't be so held down by certain things. I would love developers to just get on like a public feed and of course think about what they're gonna say and go just lay out like, look, we release it now, it's gonna be shit. Give me a few more months and it'll be good. And that's it. That's all you really need to say. And don't attack people like because have you seen the indie devs on Steam and shit, like that one guy who said he was gonna like stab Gabe Newell or like gave him a death threat and then he got his game pulled from Steam.
That was pretty crazy. You know, he's back working for that company again.
Well, there's like only 2 guys in that company, I think.
I don't know.
I think like I remember hearing about it like he said he was leaving and then he came back and his reasoning was like basically saying that I've never had a job in my life and I realized how hard it would be to do that. Is basically I think the gist of that.
I wish everyone wasn't like that was developing these games was not like 5 because their attitudes are, especially with like Twitter and everything. Like
there are some people who just,
how do you not see that where this is going to go bad?
Yeah.
I mean, I guess maybe with game development, especially indie game development, you have no corporate ties, so you feel like you can really just
do whatever you want
and just be on the fly there. But you know, we still have a world where we do have to have this. We are dealing with corporate entities and stuff like that, and some things aren't acceptable. Especially not, you know, giving death threats to people. You know, be it like a fake death threat or not. You know,
it's still like you kind of have to act like a fucking human being or a decent human being to get things done.
Yeah,
I don't know. But anyway, as far as The Order goes, I'm still gonna check it out eventually. I still am kind of thinking about getting it tomorrow because the day in the podcast it comes out tomorrow. Spoiler alert!
Oh no!
But I am kind of hesitant.
You're dating this podcast?
Yeah, I'm dating it. I'm just ruining the magic. I'm giving a peek behind the curtain.
So I'm just gonna break this up real quick. I had this idea. What if they drop the idea of the game that they were making because it probably wasn't going to make that much money?
Mm-hmm.
Instead, they make the Kill Gabe Newell simulator.
Kill Gabe Newell?
Yeah.
Why would you want to kill Gabe Newell?
I don't know. I don't think anyone would, but, you know, apparently this guy does.
Oh, are you trying to say they should release it to see how people actually buy it and be like, so they know this guy would want to kill Gabe Newell?
Yeah.
Is that what you're trying to go for?
No, I don't know. I'm just... it's like, there's like, hey, let's... No, I was just thinking, like... These guys are like, hey, let's ride on the publicity on this thing because, as they say, no publicity. Any publicity is better than no publicity. So these guys go, okay, well, we're the guys that, like, from now on, these guys are going to be the company that are always, you know, like, oh, you guys are the ones that made the stupid death threat to kill Gabe Newell. Well, you know, that's all they're going to be. That might as well be their title of their company at this point. Not saying they should, but I'm just saying that these are like, you know, that's what they're going to be branded for life. So
pretty much,
I would just, be if they took it as a joke, that would be kind of funny.
God,
But no, that would be really that would probably no.
Disclaimer:
Why?
We love Gabe Newell.
Yes, exactly. I don't know if we're gonna make ever a Steam game, but you know,
Yeah, you never know.
it's like make sure this never airs if that does.
Or we know, or everybody sometimes meet Gabe Newell and go, "You said you were going to kill me on your podcast,"
You didn't say
and
that.
then he starts beating us to death with a
Oh, no.
crowbar. Of course, no, we would never do that. Never
Nope.
say that.
Nope.
I just, I don't know if I can justify spending that much money for just something that I could go out and pay $10 or just go on Netflix and get probably the same experience.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, it's I'm all for like interactive, like because Telltale games are kind of like interactive movies to begin with, but those are like $5 and at full price $25 for like a 10-hour experience.
Yeah.
And from what sounds like, you can impact way more than this game, but it's supposed to be like, I don't know, fucking PS4 pretty game. So I don't know.
I'm going to interrupt and then talk about a Reddit post I remember from a while back. People were getting like their Secret Santa gifts, and there was someone was like, "Oh, I received this Madden 2014 or whatever," and they were like, "Hey, I figured you liked, I heard you liked games, so I got you, this game. Here's an Xbox, Live membership card or whatever." And then you flip it open, and it's a picture of Gabe Newell, like as like with the Pope hat and the Pope gown on and everything. And he goes, "Just kidding. Praise PC Master Race and all that stuff, and praise Newell or whatever." So
yeah, I love those Secret Santa, like the threads where I just love seeing what people get each other. There's some really good shit in there.
yeah.
And then, did you hear about? Well, I don't know how. Have you been reading any of the recent Star Wars news?
What's the most recent one?
Mainly just talking about, like just reports of what may be in the movie, or like who certain people are supposed to be, and just basically just like leak stuff apparently.
Please tell me.
Okay, no, please tell me.
Please tell me. I want to know this.
Okay. Apparently, and please stop the podcast if you. This is not 100% confirmed.
Oh, stop the podcast. Okay.
Okay. Anyway.
Oh, you're just kidding.
It's all like it's obviously it's not going to be confirmed, so take this with a grain of salt type of deal. But apparently,
I don't think I can take a grain of salt.
It'd be very bad by itself, but the main bad guy, who is Kylo Ren, apparently you find out later in the movie is Faye. Faye, who is Han and Leia's daughter. They also had a son, and that's supposed to be him. So they're brother and sister. And that he starts off as like a very arrogant like X-Wing fighter pilot, but he has like a fascination with the Sith and wants to learn more about his history and stuff like that, or be like his grandfather was. And like and there's been concept art of like him holding up or what's supposed to be him holding up like Vader's burnt helmet and stuff like that. And basically Faye is force sensitive, but she doesn't want to be. And then it talks about the fate of Han and like basically where Luke fits into all this, or apparently describing a scene where like whenever we go to Luke, he's like. He's got his robes are tattered, and he's guarding like a tomb, which Kylo Ren's trying to find, and it's got like a very like old Sith Lord inside of it, and like Luke still has his green lightsaber. His hair is like kind of like it basically hadn't seen like him like with his scraggly beard and stuff like that, but like when we see him, it's like his eyes are like bloodshot. He's like kind of like on edge type of deal, and like apparently I don't know if him and from what it sounded like him and what's his name are gonna fight at some point in the movie, as he's trying to keep him out of the tomb or whatever. But
so wait, he's the Crusader from like the fourth Indiana Jones movie.
You can kind of think of him like that, yeah.
One? Yeah.
Like not so much as common at that, but like he's supposed to be like they were talking about like think of like an old wise man, like crazy hermit wise man type deal, who's like been in isolation for so long and stuff like that.
I wonder if that's gonna bother people that like suddenly Luke has been like locked here forever. Or, like, not locked here, but like he's been, chilling at this planet because he's like, I have to guard this thing. It's like, why couldn't you go on adventures?
Yeah,
I gotta. It's like I gotta guard this thing from like this ultimate evil that may or may not, show up. So.
Yeah, and apparently in the same report said that I don't know if Luke offered or if they said that he should, but basically Luke would train Faye, but she didn't want to be. Like, she didn't want to be trained by him or something like that because she didn't want to. I forget what the reasoning was, but she didn't want to be like that, I guess. But
I do think that the rat. Oh, you still have stuff to say?
The only thing I was thinking of basically was the fate of Han Solo in the movie.
Oh, to be fair, people, I swear I heard it somewhere that that Han was supposed to die at some point, like in the series, and he was like, I wouldn't have minded if they'd have killed me off.
Yeah, I think they said that he would have like. I don't think it was because he didn't like doing the character. He just thought it would have been good. Like it would have been good. Like this would be good if this happened. But apparently he wanted to die in Empire Strikes Back, and George was like, no, we'll keep you around, but if it helps, I'm going to freeze you, and that'll be a good moment. And then apparently he was supposed to die in the original script. He was going to die in Return of the Jedi, and from what I've read, there's reports of George Lucas saying, no, that's too dark. We're not going to do that. We're going to keep him alive.
The series never really has any major deaths following the first episode or the fourth episode.
Yeah. I don't know how true this is, but I remember it being like, I think it was an interview with one of the producers for Jedi saying like why don't you want to kill Han Solo off? And it was like, you can't sell, I can't make toys of dead people. I don't know how true that is. That could have just been like a interjection from that guy or whatever. Because I don't want to attack people who's already been attacked. George Lucas. I'm sure a guy gets enough shit slung his way, But yeah, so I wasn't. If any reports of him dying in this one, I would not be surprised. I'm surprised he came back at all.
Yeah, he every movie recently that Harrison Ford's been in, he looks just kind of old and grumpy, and he's just like, why am I still doing these movies?
Either way, it'll be from what I've read, it's going to be cool.
Yeah, I'm just looking at it, and I kind of like some of those ideas because they feel like they're callbacks to certain old storylines. Mm-hmm. I know there's one where one of the Solo kids, I think, or no, it's one of the kids from I think Luke's Academy in the expanded universe was looking for a tomb of a Sith Lord and then got possessed by it. Mm-hmm. And of course, in the expanded universe as well, Han and Leia had two children. They were twins, of course.
Yeah.
And one of them does, spoilers if you haven't read those books, but you probably won't read them now, one of them did turn to the dark side, probably when they're like 20 or so, like their mid-20s, So they had a good, run as a good guy for a long time, but then eventually, became, had to do some dark things and eventually was persuaded by the dark side. And then it eventually caused a clash between the two twins, which was really cool. So to kind of see that kind of play out, it's kind of cool. I don't like the idea that Luke might end up being like the new Yoda of the series. That sounds kind of lame, but it's my feelings for it are in no way all these super diehards like Star Wars people. Those people are probably going crazy. Like if they see that, I'm like, oh no, like those people are just going to be like, my childhood is ruined. You destroyed it.
There was
protest Disney now.
There was a couple, I think it was like 3 or 4 months ago, there was a slew of like concept art that leaked, and in it was that one of him holding Vader's helmet.
Yeah, I've seen that one.
Did you see the one of Faye holding Luke's old blue lightsaber?
No, I didn't see that.
Yeah, she's holding like his original lightsaber, and she's like in like an attack pose or whatever. I thought that was really cool because they did say that because you can hear Luke's old blue lightsaber in the trailer at the end of it. You basically hear the sound of it igniting at the very end when there's like after all the footage is gone and like it says the titles or whatever.
I didn't even know that some of these lightsabers had different sound effects.
Yeah, like whenever Luke would turn on his lightsaber in Empire Strikes Back, there was I believe it was one sound clip they used for it, and it was different for other stuff.
I don't think anyone's going to point this out, but Luke's lightsaber is Anakin's lightsaber.
Yes.
So this lightsaber's passed down from a couple generations.
Yeah.
So
it would make sense that she would have it, I guess,
Yeah.
because he built his own in Jedi.
Yep.
But like, I'm trying to think. There was something else I read too before that. They've already said there's gonna be like a flashback scene with Vader, and James Earl Jones is gonna come back and voice him again because he's already done it for Rebels. I don't know, man. I'm super pumped.
Yeah, I'm definitely want to see these. I think any Star Wars is better than no Star Wars.
Especially one that looks like the biggest thing that I always liked about the other ones was all the practical stuff they did, like seeing all the models and shit they used to build for it, like watching like how they filmed like the Death Star run and like all the models they used and stuff to make it look cool or look real. That shit's awesome.
Yeah, I think that to me though, I mean, unless the series is like really just like blows me out of the water, I think in my heart I'll still think the expanded universe is kind of my thing, because they just, I don't know, the series was always just like fun adventure time kind of stuff, where it's like they went off and had all these cool journeys after episode 7 or after episode 6 and had all these cool things, and then Luke became this master Jedi and got to train all these people and became like the teacher of everyone. And then Leia and Han had their kids, and they became cool people as well. So it'll be kind of a bummer just to turn out and be like, yeah, these guys died and had terrible lives for the past 20-30 years.
Seems like Han and Leia have been doing stuff. I think it looks like Leia's like, because
I've always been a Luke guy though, so
I know.
I'll be like, oh yeah, let me be this hero or whatever, and go sacrifice the rest of my life to go sit in this tomb. And
he basically just did what Obi-Wan Kenobi did.
Yeah, which always bothered me, because I'm like I'm okay with the prequels. People always like hate on them and stuff. They're okay with me, except for super emotional Anakin Skywalker murdering Jedi just because, well, what if they're evil? Oh, like, do you remember that scene though, right?
Yeah,
where he's like,
I do.
It's like, well, in my opinion, the Jedi are evil. It's like
cool.
Maybe you have a stupid opinion. God.
To defend how you feel about it, I think what happens in those movies is fine.
Mm-hmm.
I just think it's like seeing the framework for what they're trying to do, but how they wanted to do it was not the right way to do it, like scripting wise and approach wise. But like how they set it up, everything, I thought I was like, there's a framework for something here. It's just not handled very well. Like, I know what they're trying to do, but I'm not 100% on board.
My idea for what the prequels could have been was that I think for the first two, for both 1 and 2, they had a different person play Anakin in 1 as well as 2. Like, they were totally different people.
Yeah.
I think they should have done that for the third one, and rather than him be a character, like he looks like he's only aged maybe a couple years and from that first episode, because like they're like the Clone Wars only happened like 2 years ago or something like that. But they reference it in those other movies like it was like a big couple. It was like a maybe 5-10 year long war or something. So have him come out and be like this adult, like have him cast as as an actor that's probably like closer to 30 than he is like closer than he would be like this very new adult, because that's how everyone took it, was that he's just like, you're just making all this like unrealistic situations to things because you're like 15, you're like this emotional like teenager here. But if you were like an adult who had lived this life and he was like had these problems go on, like he might have been a more likable guy if he had been, this older guy that, you could actually root for, but then ended up having to make this hard decision in his life because of some things,
There's been a lot of suggestions that people have made that would have really helped those movies, and I think the number one thing was that whenever we first see Anakin, he's not a child. He's at least in his late teens or like early adult, and because people were like, that probably would have helped us a little bit, because child actors are really hard to, like, it's really hard, like, there are some, I'm not going to say this really well, I'm sure, but, like, child actors are really hit and miss. They either really work or they really don't.
You're talking about hitting child actors?
Yes.
That's horrible.
That's what I'm saying. They, like... Plus, there's too many characters. There's, like... The number one thing I always hear for, like, how to make it better is the thing with Anakin. Make Darth Maul live throughout the movies to give him a rival.
Yeah.
And not just... Because in episode 2, it's like, oh, here's Count Dooku. What's he doing here?
Yeah.
Does he even know what he's doing? In episode 3, he's like, here I am again, I'm dead. See you later, bye.
Yeah.
It's just like, okay. And then there's no like, I don't know, there's a lot that whole conversation could feel like an hour-long podcast easily.
I know, it could be. And, you know, it's like they reference that he's, you know, like that Darth Tyrannus had some importance to him, or Count Dooku, you know, where he's like, oh, I trained your master's master, you know, like, okay, cool. Like, does that mean something cool is going to happen because of this? Does that mean you're going to be my father? No.
Does it mean you my dad? I don't think so.
This has nothing to do, you know, so, you know.
How do you feel about Neil Blomkamp coming to do Aliens and pretty much saying that Alien 3 and 4 didn't happen?
I think you have the most to talk about that, but I think it's pretty cool. He's such a visionary with everything he does. If they can get those actors to come back to do that movie, then I would think it'd be awesome.
Well, I'm pretty certain Sigourney Weaver's already gonna be on board because she's in Chappie.
Oh, is she?
Yeah, because that he said, because she was being interviewed. She said Neil would show these things, like he's the one who showed the concept art stuff to her and talked about what he would do if he were to do it. And she was like, in the interview I saw with her, she was saying how basically, like, after I did the fourth one, of course I love being that character, and the only I always would like to come back, but I wouldn't want to do it if they were just retreading the same type of thing over and over again. Like she's like, I was drawn to the game because they were like, they want to do stuff with my daughter, and we never got to see that part. And I was like, that's pretty cool. I get to come in and be like a little bit part, type of deal.
Oh, she would only be a bit part, you think?
Well, no, I'm talking about Alien Isolation.
Oh,
but then she was talking about how, like, what he wants to do, and she was just like, what he was talking about, like, if he wanted me to do it, I'd be there.
My concern about that, though, is just like, are these actors, like, I sometimes worry, like we were referring to Harrison Ford, where he's getting pretty old, and he's getting to the point where he's not going to want to do these movies. I mean, when was the first Alien? That was like
1979, I think.
Yeah, 79. So it's that's not as far back as I would think, but I mean, some of these people are getting.
I think Sigourney Weaver right now is 65.
Yeah,
and Harrison Ford is 72.
So
I mean, the only thing, like, I've seen movies, and I'm sure they can make it work. It's amazing to me that at the beginning of this year, when I was playing Alien Isolation just a few months ago, I was like, man, it sucks that they're just not doing Alien movies anymore. Like, they did 3 and 4. They weren't. To be fair, Alien 3, I hear, if like the assembly cut's actually a decent movie, but it wasn't like, it was just. It's not so much of the movie it is that it's the movie it should have been. And Alien 4, which is, I kind of like parts of it. It's not a perfect movie by any means. It's got a lot wrong with it, but I do like certain parts of it. And it's kind of like watching the first cut of Firefly if they met a monster. It just sucked. Like, I was like, well, they're doing Prometheus now, so they're not going to be doing like any more, Alien stuff, because they're getting away from that. So, like, just hearing that we're going to get a new actual Alien movie from somebody who's proven themselves to be pretty, when it comes to special effects and how they approach their stories, that's pretty exciting that it's going to be somebody like that. And showing, after seeing, like, concept art of what he wants to do, or, like, kind of stuff he wants to tackle, that's pretty cool. That's super cool.
So I posted on our Facebook page recently, because of the toy fair. NECA Toys, I think, has the rights to the Aliens movies. I don't know if they have the rights to them, or if they just have the rights to the video game stuff, because what they've been doing, which is really cool, are these old NES versions of characters where they'll take them and then use the same color scheme from the actual 8-bit art, and then they'll do it on like the real life, do them off like a model of the toy. So you have like the Batman Returns model, and then he's in the color scheme of the 8-bit version, so he's kind of this purple blue.
That's cool.
And so they did that with Aliens 3, and then they took the alien, I think he's got like these outlines of blue and green. It looks really cool. I'll have to show you.
Yeah, you should send me too on Facebook or something, because I like when stuff. I just like stuff that's you don't normally see.
Yeah, they did that with them, with Terminator, with RoboCop. There's so many. There are a lot of them. You gotta check them out. And
Definitely.
Freddy Krueger's another one as well. It's really cool.
Freddy Krueger. I miss old movie icon stuff like that. Aren't you kind of sad they don't make Nightmare on Elm Street movies anymore, like Friday the 13th? And
Well, I mean, they did that reboot of Nightmare on Elm Street, and supposedly they're coming out with a new Friday the 13th soon.
I hear it's supposed to be like another reboot.
Yeah.
After the one that came out just a couple of years ago.
I thought that one was okay. What'd you think?
It was a Friday the 13th movie, basically. I mean, it was basically what those movies were. I need to watch it again, but I was excited to see it. And I don't even really like slasher movies, really, but it was more like I don't know, it felt like a tradition type of thing. Like, we have horror movie icon stuff. You know, you don't normally see that type of stuff. It's kind of like a relic. Like, so when I grew up, I always heard about those movies coming out. So, I mean, to not hear about them anymore is kind of sad.
Yeah. Yeah, it's funny that we don't, like, you think that would be one of the few series that would be kind of shameless about, you know, having their numbers go up there and be like Friday the 13th number part 27, you know, but they haven't really, you know, just done that many.
Yeah.
And you know, they would make some money for them, so I just don't understand, like, are they not making enough money where they would think it's not worth it anymore?
They would not either. Because what people want from movies nowadays is so different than people still want usually the same amount of things, but like how it was then compared to now, it's such a different ball game. Like, I mean, just like the slasher movie thing for the 80s, like, for us was like all like the torture shit, like Saw and Hostel that came out, like that was our thing, and that's kind of like, well, that kind of sucks. That's what we got.
You know what people's thing is now, though? It's the
like paranormal stuff, like ghosts and everything.
It's weird that we have these specific genres to the decade or whatever.
Yeah, you can kind of attribute them to the decade. Yeah, like for the 80s, it was easily like slasher horror movies, and the 70s it was exploitation stuff. Not exploitation, but like grindhouse type of shit, I guess you could say. I could be completely wrong.
Man, but grindhouse stuff was awesome.
Yeah. And then I guess, and like ghost stuff now, but I don't know. It's just fun to watch those trends come and go. Yeah.
Have you seen the Poltergeist trailer?
No, but I've never really watched the first one. I remember seeing bits and pieces. It's one of those movies where I've seen enough bits and pieces in multiple occasions, so I probably have seen the entire movie.
That's kind of how like a friend of mine is, where she's seen she's seen parodies of Star Wars, but she's never actually seen the original trilogy. So when she saw it, she was like, all I can think about is the original trilogy. You know, like the Family Guy parody of it. You know,
and it's kind of like. That's cool, because I always love really good parody stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But it's also kind of like, I always think if you're going to go in, you should always watch the original stuff first.
Yeah.
But like, I don't know, that kind of makes me sad a little bit.
It does kind of suck.
I'm not knocking her or anything like that. It's just, it kind of sucks that kind of like colored the experience. So like, all you're thinking about is them making fun of it or poking fun at it.
I think it's kind of unique in that way, but I mean, I can think about the fact that I've seen a lot of parodies of Poltergeist before I ever actually got to see all of Poltergeist.
Yeah.
You know,
it's like there are some things that have been parodied so much, like they would just absolutely not ruin, but they would really color your experience to going back and watch. Like, I remember the alien scene with the chestburster getting parodied multiple times. Even in Spaceballs, John Hurt came back to play like that same character. And
did he?
Yeah, in Spaceballs, John Hurt is eating like soup or something from the diner, and a fucking alien pops out, and he's just like, "Oh God, not again!" And he just passes out, and then fucking Lone Star and Barf are like, "We don't want to eat here." This is like, "Can we get our check, please?" And it does like the fucking "Hello, my baby, hello, my honey," and just like,
oh, okay, that was
out.
from that.
That's what that is. That's
gotcha.
where that thing came from.
Yeah. Man. John Hurt's one of those characters, these actors that you see for so long, that looking at him back then and then looking at him now, it's like crazy how how much time is difference. And it's the same thing with the CinemaSins videos. They recently did an entire week based off of sex and stuff because of the 50 Shades of Grey movies.
Oh yeah.
They they did Showgirls and they did 9.5 Weeks. And 9.5 Weeks stars what's it? Ah, crap. I had it. I'm trying to remember it. He's the villain in Iron Man 2.
Mickey Rourke.
Mickey Rourke. Yeah, Mickey Rourke's the villain, and he just looks so much different. You're like, so wait, that Mickey Rourke is the guy that we see nowadays from The Wrestler and Iron Man 2 and all these movies.
Mm-hmm.
It's just crazy.
You know what's crazy to me?
He doesn't even sound the same. It's like his voice now is like just this, like nothing but just this. It's like he swallowed a bunch of gravel in like the last 30 years.
Yeah, seriously. For me, that same type of deal is thinking about how old certain people were when they did them, and then realize we're the same age as they were when they did it.
Like what?
I got two good examples, and two of them are two like my biggest like celebrity like woman crushes. One is How I Met Your Mother. Besides Allison Hannigan and Neil Patrick Harris, we were pretty much the same age as Ted, Jason Segel, and Kobe Smulders when they started that show.
Yeah. So are we like the live versions of those characters now?
As of right now,
awesome.
Yes.
Hey, am I Ted or are you Ted?
I'll be Marshall.
Yay!
And I love Kobe Smulders. She's probably like my number one celebrity.
Now I'm gonna
crush.
spend the next 30 years looking for my yellow umbrella person.
There you go.
Yep.
Go for it, buddy. And I'll just be
talking about having babies and stuff.
Talking about the
environment.
The environment and how there's a Sasquatch.
Yeah.
And ghost.
Did he talk about Sasquatch?
Yeah, he was adamant in that Sasquatch exists.
Okay, we gotta find you a Minnesota jersey.
Minnesota.
Yes.
And the other one was I think she was probably like a year or two older than me, but I'm also the same age or around the same age that Sigourney Weaver was when Alien aired.
Yeah.
So like I imagine like when I watched Alien, it was just like it's so weird because I was just like we could have gone on a date. Like I just is like somebody I could have met in real life and we could have dated or like been friends with and hung out with, and it's just like weird seeing the counterpart to how they are now to then. It's like it's really fascinating for me to do that. Like not like envision my life with someone or anything like that, but just the idea like I was this age, they were the same age, and it's weird. Like when you get older, you think about weird shit like that. I guess I never like when I was younger, I'd watch stuff and go, "Those people are just older than me."
Yeah,
and that's it. That's all you think about. Now you're like, I'm the same age as that person was when they did this.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah, isn't it? Yeah.
And then like now finding out like a lot of entry stars are like like 20 or 18. So then you watch these movies and then you go like they kind of look our age, and then you're like, oh, they're like 5 years younger. Oh crap.
The same thing goes both ways. Like John Boyega, who plays Finn in Star Wars, he's 23. He's younger than us, and he's the fucking star of a Star Wars movie. Fucker.
Yeah. I want to bring back the How I Met Your Mother thing. For some reason, I still trying to get my head around it, but it's I was talking about Marshall's character, like, oh, he's talking about babies, and it was because the last couple seasons I've seen, like he was all about being a father in those last seasons, and it's funny because he's so different from that he's not so different, but in those before that last season when they actually have the kid, like I couldn't even picture him like having like them being like parents in the season before that, so it was just weird.
Yeah, I got you.
I just think it's funny.
Just a disconnect, I guess.
Yeah.
Just a disclaimer, when I mentioned the whole thing that we could date, I'd still date Sigourney Weaver. She's a very beautiful woman. Just want to disclaimer that for anyone listening. But, yeah.
Yep. It's like a minute 8. Or it's a minute 8.
Shit, dude, we talk really fast.
What? We'll fix it in post.
He'll fix it in post. It's always it's easy to fix anything in post.
We'll fix everything in post. We'll make my voice sound like
That just sound like Buffalo Bill. I don't know what I was just doing.
Can you do your Buffalo Bill impression? That was always pretty funny.
Oh God, I can't even think of anything you're putting me on. I can always do it when people put me on the spot. I can't think of a single thing the person says. What is the thing? I don't want to do the shit that everybody says or the most iconic thing. I need to find because it's easier for me to hear it if I don't hear like the other thing.
The lotion in the basket part.
No, that's too easy. I like the one where it's right before he kidnaps the girl. He's like, I think he asks her if she's like a size something. I don't know. I need to watch the movie again.
He was size 8.
He's like, his voice. That's the voice that Seth Green did that got him the job as Chris Griffin.
Really?
Yeah, because Seth MacFarlane said that everybody who came in the audition did like a surfer voice, and Seth Green did a Buffalo Bill, basically like impression.
Why would everyone do a surfer voice?
Because it's if you imagine like a kid, like if they would show him like the art of this is what the character's supposed to look like, and people just thought, man, I don't know, surfer teen, like or just a kind of like whoa dude type of thing. Like that's what they got. That's what people tried out.
Can you imagine that like for Family Guy?
Yeah, well,
weird.
It could have happened. Seth Green, the reason he did it is apparently him and his friends thought it was funny. The Imagine Buffalo Bill being like a drive-through, like, would you like fries with that? Like, just, like on the other end, just like to them that was hilarious, I guess. That's why he did it.
Hey, talk a little bit about that part in GTA that you did yesterday where you ran into a friend who looked identical to the villain in The Mask.
Well, I've, to precipice this, I've never laughed so hard to where I actually went to the bathroom in preparation to throw up from how hard I was laughing. I was wheezing, coughing, but in GTA you can make your character like look how you kind of like get yourself a distinct look. And I was sitting in a car with two of my friends, and my friend was driving, and he from an angle. Because he had like slick black brown hair, so it looked kind of shiny, like his hair did look in The Mask. And the way his jaw looked and all that stuff, I was like, hey, my friend, it was like Sean and Chris was all playing. I was like, hey Sean, doesn't Chris kind of look like the bad guy from The Mask after he puts the mask on? And there's a pause, and he just goes, oh yeah, he kind of does. And right as I said that, my friend Chris just said, God, what did he say? It was one of those fucking lines near the end of the movie when he's got the mask on. He basically did like a deep voice, like, this is how we're gonna do it. And I just couldn't handle that. I died. And then I brought you in and said the same thing, and you were just like, there's always time for the last kiss. And at that point, man, I just fucking couldn't. I couldn't handle it.
And then he put on a mask, didn't he?
Yeah, he went and he was like, I'm like, where'd you go? He's like, I'll be back. And he went and he fucking found a green mask, and he actually put on an outfit that looked just like that outfit, like the open collar thing here.
Did he? Oh,
yeah,
man.
And dude, he was like, get the dog.
For the record, I googled. You have to Google like the villain of The Mask. His name is Dorian Tyrell in The Mask, and it just pops up with this picture. Especially when he has the mask, he just has this goofy face, and it's just hilarious.
God, it was so funny, man.
And then it doesn't help that he has this like voice alternator with it.
It's like voice like super like.
There's always time for one last kiss. And then he just those scenes are just funny. It was like just thinking about now.
It was just that, and the combination of so many more things happening. Like I was sitting there walking, and I got in a car with Chris, and Sean went to go pour gasoline on the hood, and like Chris fucking just like hauls it, but as he did it, Sean was pouring the gas, so it looked like he threw his hands up like to go, no, don't hit me, and just ran him over. And at that point, dude, I was already laughing hard enough. Oh God, man,
was that probably the funniest moment from GTA so far?
In my whole time of playing that game, that was probably the funniest thing that's ever. That's probably the funniest thing that's happened to me, that as far as I can remember. I don't know why it was so funny. God damn.
Man, just talking about that experience makes me want to just go out and buy GTA again.
You really need to, man. It's so much fun to play with other people. Just the stupid shit that can happen.
God, that face is just ridiculous. It's always great when you have those moments in movies that you can just pause, and it just like you get the most crazy faces and crazy looks, you know, that you don't even see in the movie.
It's so fun to do. Jesus.
I wonder, man, the first Mask was just so great. Like was pretty cool. Like when we were little, and when they try to do so many other like Mask movies with different actors, they just didn't work at all. Like I think those bombed really hard.
There was only one.
There is? Okay.
There was the TV show and like the and all that. So I think there was only one Mask movie, wasn't there?
I feel like there was another one, but I could be wrong.
There was the only one I remember was Son of Mask, and I remember it being like just like beyond awful. It was originally like a comic book. Okay, yeah, it was. It was a Dark Horse comic book. Yeah, it was apparently pretty dark too, from what I've heard. Yeah. Yeah, it's funny. There's so many movies that we don't realize that we can contribute to a comic book. Mystery Men is based off a comic book, but it's based off a comic book that doesn't even call it the Mystery Men. I think it's called like something to the terms of like banana something. It's a good movie.
I'll have to look it up, but yeah. And then that was the first time you see Dane Cook in a movie. Yeah. I think
Tom Waits is in it too. He's like the gadget guy or whatever, who makes him all that stuff or whatever.
What wasn't his name? Dr. Heller, I think.
I can't remember. I need to watch that movie again. It's a good.
It is. It's It was in a list of IO9's movies. Oh, the Flaming Carrot Comics. That's what it was. See,
so weird.
Would you ever guess that was what Mystery Men was based off of? But I think that movie would be better nowadays, because in a world nowadays where we're so full of these different superhero comics, you know, for the fact that there's a superhero team parody movie, you know, that's well beyond their time.
I know, if it had been released now, it would have been more. It received a little better.
Yeah, I mean, it's got everyone. It's got a lot of great, you know, actors in it. Hank Azaria,
William H. Macy, and Ben Stiller,
Eddie Izzard. You know, just
I forgot he was in that.
Yeah, so you know, it was. I gotta find out on like Blu-ray or something.
That'd be cool.
Yep.
Oh man, where are we at now, Chief?
Hour and 16. Want to wrap it up?
Yeah, I guess we can wrap it up there.
All right. Thank you again for joining us for another episode of Super Mega Ultra Force. I can't remember what it is. Is that sad that I don't know my own name, title,
Super
thing?
Mega Ultra Force Entertainment, bro.
Yeah, dude. No, I guess it's kind of breaking it, but I thought it like, I think I was joking with one of our friends where I was like, it's like, I'm not gonna remember this name. I can't believe why on earth did I name it this like huge thing, you know? And then he was like, well, when you do it, every time you do it, you just not even pay attention to it and just make up additional names to it, so it becomes the Ultimate Super Mega Ultra Force, you know,
EX2.
Yeah. So, you know, maybe I'll do that, but you know, it kind of messes up now that I'm recording this and giving it away.
Yeah, dude, you don't give away our secrets.
Oh man.
We'll fix it in post.
Yeah, we'll fix it in post.
Fix it in post.
Yep.
Be fine.
But yeah, if you're interested in our podcast, if you don't already know, it is on Facebook, Super Mega Ultra Force Entertainment. You can find the blog where we post you know, additional content and additional articles at supermegaultraforce.blogspot.com. And then, of course, our YouTube channel, which is what you should be hearing this on, which is Super Mega Ultra Force Super Mega Ultra Force, whatever it is. I forgot.
It'll be in the link.
Well, yeah, we'll fix it in post though. But yeah, thanks guys.
Bye.
Bye.